And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
No, Christian, Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. We are not celebrating Christian's Broncos today. Apparently, I'm wearing my Stingers hat. And, of course, everybody knows the Stingers' primary color is red.
Yeah.
And Christian was saying it looks orange on the YouTube and KSLSports.com and says, oh, you must be supporting the Broncos today. And then I look over at Ben, and he's, like, legit wearing a Broncos pullover.
I've got a blue jacket on. That's it.
With orange all over it.
I think it's got yellow, but it's a
That's
yellowish
not
orange.
Yellow.
You're right. It's more orangey.
It does look yellow on the camera. I'll give you that.
There you go.
No, nobody's happy for the Broncos, Christian.
Great win.
Christian.
Great win yesterday.
I think it was way more about the Eagles. I love that the Eagles wide receivers are revolting. And Jalen Hurts now all of a sudden is a bad quarterback. Isn't that funny how the narrative turns?
Quickly.
Yeah. Quickly.
Yep.
But you can't be losing at home to the Donks.
Yeah.
Good heavens, that's a low.
Blow it up.
Blow it up.
Yeah.
If there was ever a reason to do it, it's that. Jeez. Smug old Sean Payton taking a bow. Doesn't he move past Bill Parcells or something like that on the all-time wins list?
He did. He was very emotional about it.
I'm not happy for him at all. Cheater. Joker. Bounty Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho. Ben, as long as we're starting off the show randomly, I have somebody's having a bad day and somebody's having a good day for you real quick, and then we can jump into your Cougs.
Okay.
You know who's having a really bad day today?
Mark Sanchez.
Well, yeah, as usual, Ben, you go super dark. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, he is technically.
He's not having a good day.
No, he is technically having a bad day.
Sobering up on this Monday and thinking,
no,
things are good for me.
No, and Christian will be dialed into this too.
Okay.
Travis Kelce is having a bad day.
You think?
Yes. I was able to purchase on vinyl and online the new Taylor Swift album this weekend and consume at least a chunk of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, Christian, did you listen to any of it? Did you get a taste of it?
My wife basically held me down and forced me to, yeah.
Okay, so like the whole thing is about Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no way that he's not getting clowned today.
I think it's the opposite.
Oh, no.
I think he walked into practice on Friday and got a ton of high fives in the locker room.
Big man on
campus. Okay, so Christian is referring to some more intimate songs.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, Ben, if your fiance, if Angie were a musician and she wrote a song about your love life and you came into the studio the next day, guess what? We're clowning you.
Yeah, you get
We're pulling lyrics from that thing and putting it, on
dropping them in.
Right. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's being celebrated at all. I think those naughty lyrics are being held against him.
I've only seen, my fiance relayed them to me because she is not a Swiftie and was making fun of Taylor. And I can't tell what's real and what's fake because they're such base level lyricism.
Listen, I like Taylor Swift. I do. This album is not for me. I don't think. I like others more than this one. And she does use lyrics and she does write about herself. You could listen to a Bob Dylan song and he could be singing about something and you have to like reading a good novel. You had to kind of dig. There's some allusions and
there's a lot there.
There's a lot there.
It's layered.
It's layered. It's kind of beautiful in its language, even though he's talking about something plain. And not to call Bob a poet necessarily, because I do think there are differences between lyricists and music and poetry. And Jim Morrison found that out the hard way because he was quite a crappy poet and
a good songwriter.
Taylor is very on the nose.
She is.
She's writing about something.
She's not hiding it.
You know exactly what she's writing about. Some of where she puts the words is a little clever.
Okay.
But it's not like this song came up and I was on my Spotify and I was thinking about this. Like, you ever see that terrible Michelle Pfeiffer movie, Dangerous Minds? Mm-hmm. And she uses the Bob Dylan song, Mr. Tambourine Man, as a way to teach poetry.
Get through, yeah.
Yeah. And because she's like, and it's about a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Well, the think about another movie. What's the Ben Stiller movie that is actually funny? The one
He's got some funny movies.
That's super awkward.
Meet the Parents?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And Bob De Niro's like, he's singing about a boy and his dragon.
Yeah. He's talking about
like Bob Dylan. It's like, oh, he's singing about a dragon. No, he's just singing about a guy and his tambourine, man.
Yeah.
Play a song for me. Whatever. He's sitting around and he's like, bang that thing, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's none of that with Taylor. And one song in particular, the kind of racy one that's making headlines, like there's no...
I think it was a troll job.
Do you?
Yeah, well, because she went on the podcast and was like, yeah, I'm doing exactly what every male wants to see, like more of me. Like, she is very aware.
She is. She is self-aware. She does know that this is who she is.
But I don't know if it's that nuanced, honestly. And I don't think that teammates will see it that way.
Yeah, regardless of whether
saying.
It's nuanced or not.
He's having a bad day.
The teammates are going to skip the nuance.
Those lyrics are being taped up all over his locker before the game tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Whoever's lining up in slot or at safety is going to be talking to Travis.
See, that's the thing. I think the opposing team will like make fun of him for it. I don't know if his teammates will.
Oh, yeah, because think about it. We would be clowning Ben right now.
Yes.
Currently.
Your friends should be meaner than your enemies.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's a general rule.
It is.
Yeah. I abided by that.
You would expect it.
Yes.
You would expect it. And it doesn't mean we don't love you. It just means that your musician fiance just wrote a sex song about you. Pardon my direct term.
Yeah, that was very Taylor of you. Just right on the nose.
Apologies. Right on the nose.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, we'd be razzing you. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that they're razzing
Taylor. Or Travis.
Currently.
Yeah. Travis Swift.
Now, real quick, the person who is having a good day today, and this has a local football tie, so we can transition it however we want.
Okay.
Kaelin Clay is having a good day
Actually,
today.
I might argue with this. I might argue against this.
Okay. So Kaelin Clay, just a little history. He comes to Utah. He was a JC guy. Mm-hmm. I think he had a grade issue. I think that's why he was under-recruited. I'd have to go back and look. But I
really couldn't catch a football, but yeah.
He caught the football better than somebody like Dres Anderson.
He did, yeah.
Kaelin had a really good career at Utah. Go look at his stuff. He had a really
probably best as a special teams player, but a good player.
At Utah. That dude could legit fly. I mean, he was
4.3 speed.
Super fast. Mm-hmm. He made a really dumb mistake at a really bad time. Mm-hmm. This was a game I was at. And Utah was up on Oregon. Kaelin was about to score a touchdown to add to a lead.
It's going to be 14-0.
He drops it before the goal line because this stupid viral touchdown celebration where you drop it as close to the goal line became a thing. He dropped it before he got in. Oregon jumped on it, and while Utah was celebrating in the end zone, they score a touchdown. Then Marcus Mariota kicked in, and the Ducks steamrolled the Utes for the rest of the night. And Kaelin was on SportsCenter's not top 10 for however long they allow you to be. It's like 6 months or something like that. He became known, even though there were other people that did it, he became known as the bozo who dropped the ball before the goal line.
Yes.
And now if you Googled Kaelin Clay, the first thing that comes up is that play. Yeah. Even though he was a fine player who made a great impact at the University of Utah at a position that often they don't make great impact. He made a great impact. He was a really good player. And the only reason anybody knows his name is because of that. It's like the anti-Johnny Harleen. Right. But anywho, enter Arizona running back, Arizona Cardinals, that is. What's his name? Amari DeMarcado.
Yeah.
Who did it yesterday in the Arizona Cardinals loss to the Tennessee Titans in a hugely costly manner. and totally blew the game for his team by doing that in a much grander fashion, in my opinion, than Kaelin Clay. So maybe, just maybe, Ben, that will be the most infamous drop before the goal line, and Kaelin will be bumped to number 2, and maybe people can start talking about this guy.
I don't know why that play specifically is so synonymous with Kaelin Clay. Because he is not the only person who's done it. He's not the only person who's done it since then. He's not the last person, or he wasn't the only other person to do it before Amari DiMercato. Lots of guys have done this. College, the NFL. For some reason, it has always stuck with Kaelin. Kaelin has been the culprit of this.
He's taking the heat for everybody else. And that will continue?
That will continue. And I think it's actually the opposite of what you're saying. Every time somebody else does it, Kaelin Clay has to see on his phone, he has the mean friends that were making fun of Travis Kelce that text him every time and say, "Hey, Kaelin,
oh, yeah.
remember when this happened?"
You guys literally brought it up.
Oh, no.
Exactly right. Exactly
You're
right.
talking about it right now.
It will always, whenever anyone does it, people will say, "I remember when Kaelin Clay did it."
Dude, to your point, and maybe you're making a really good one. Greg, on the Snap Talk, not 14 hours ago, tags me and says, "Go to 255. You're in good company." It is a video of the best TV news bloopers fails of 2017.
Okay.
Everybody in this room knows exactly what the blooper is. I didn't look at this. I could tell you 100% it's bulging disc.
Oh, you made it?
I didn't make it.
Somebody else
It's
made
somebody
it.
else. He's saying I'm in good company.
Oh, okay. Somebody else.
So now in Greg's universe,
Yeah.
anytime somebody makes that mistake, which I was not the first and was not the last, and no offense, Greg, you could tag me in these videos. I think they're all funny. And I have a good sense of humor about it, I like to think. But yeah, now I get tagged on that video anytime he comes across one.
Matt Harpring will not travel with the team and had his MRI revealed degeneration of a joint in his spine and a slightly bulging disc in his back.
Man, spinal degeneration. I thought that was bad. Then I heard the next thing.
And you know what's funny about that? The funniest part of that story is not even the drop. The funniest part of that story is the own goal on my part where I did not dump it.
You were in control.
I was in control, and I did not dump it. I don't know why. I don't know if I thought at the time, like, oh, I wonder if nobody will notice. But then after, like, okay, so there's a 30-second delay, right? So I get done with the update. Few seconds go by. I look at the phone bank, and all of a sudden it's all the way down with people just waiting to clown me about the mistake I just made. Awesome. So maybe Kaelin Clay is having a bad day today.
He is having a horrible day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be having a good day because somebody else is taking the spotlight. But you make an interesting point. And the two stories are related in a weird way. Because Travis Kelce is definitely getting clowned. And you're saying that Kaelin Clay is getting clowned.
If he has real friends, they are.
Christian, listen, if your wife, I don't know if she's musical, but if she writes a love song about you,
we're coming for you, pal.
You're in big trouble the next day. I mean, you think it's bad when your donks lose.
Yeah.
I'm sure Travis Kelce owns it.
Let me tell you, we would not be celebrating you.
I had the thought already, but I don't want to reveal what I thought about making fun of you for. So.
All right. Do we want to hold BYU then? Let's do BYU next.
Do a long top 3 stories?
Let's do a long top 3 stories, and we'll crunch into the Cougs and the Mountaineers. I heard a little Christian on the college football show over the weekend.
Oh.
Yeah, consumed a little Christian and Alex.
Great.
Just getting Christian's spicy hot
Saturday
takes.
morning or Friday night?
No, Saturday morning.
Okay.
Friday night.
Yeah, it's late. I was glad that game didn't get totally shut down for lightning because that storm was wild over Salt Lake.
We were really worried that we were going to have a lightning delay on an 8:30 kick.
Could not believe that didn't happen.
My wife had some friends who were in town for a wedding on Saturday.
Bad
It was like, hey, you know what? Now you can say you got married on the rainiest day in Salt Lake history, or at least Salt Lake Airport history, right? There was a rainier day in 1901, but the airport didn't exactly exist.
Okay.
Wilbur and Orville hadn't taken to the Kill Devil Hills to get that first flight in. All right, stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com.
It's a person who knows his Carolinas.
Coming up next. What rating would you give what you've consumed from Taylor's What, you going to give it a grade?
My wife made me sit there and grade every single song.
What'd you think?
I was given some 6s and 7s, couple 4s.
How's she feel about
it? She knows that it's not the best album she's ever put out.
All right. Stay tuned. More next.
Can we blame Travis the way we blame women when athletes start playing poorly?
Yes.
We're like,
1,000%.
It's his idiot wife, probably.
No.
Can we say that now that she's got an idiot fiance and it's made her lazy?
Yeah. No, it's inspired a poor product. Say what you will about her bozo exes, but they inspired better. Good or bad.
Shout out Matty Healy. Another win for Matty Healy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is inspired. As a muse goes, he's sucking.
Mimbo.
So, yeah, I'm putting that on him. Why not?
Big time Mimbo. I'm with you. Shame on you, Travis. You ruined Taylor.
And by the way, whenever you do that dodge, you miss the point entirely, because the point isn't sexism. The point is noisy personal lives, which do...
Maybe for you.
But
there's enough unreliable narrators or untrusty characters who are who I don't think have that nuance.
No, I
believe you have that nuance.
I go back to I know there was a Jazz player who was having real serious trouble with his marriage during the playoffs, and it was salacious and really and he played poorly because of it. Mm-hmm. Like, that is a thing. Like, Brooke Shields wasn't a detriment to Andre Agassi because she was a Brooke Shields or a woman. They, as a couple, for whatever reason, read his book, I don't know. But he was doing crack at the time. Like, whatever they had going on wasn't what I would call healthy. And then he doesn't play well. We shouldn't be surprised. Travis Kelce's kind of a bozo and is an inspiring, really good material.
She's too happy.
Maybe she's too happy.
Yeah.
If Jackson Pollock were happy, would he have contributed what he did?
No one wants a happy artist.
No.
Yeah.
Misery. Does Bob Dylan seem like a happy guy to you?
Never.
No, never. Not once. Stay tuned. Top 3 stories coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, want to remind you about Win Ticket Wednesday, your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up on Wednesday, you can win Fast Pass VIP tickets to Nightmare on 13th, 1 location, 2 haunted attractions. Nightmare on 13th, where Halloween lives. Get $10 off nighttime attractions by using discount code ZONE, or listen all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, BYU gets the win Friday night. They moved to 5-0, up to number 18 in the AP poll.
Start with the good or the bad?
Wherever you want to go, pal.
I do think this was, and not just because of the yardage was clearly impressive. This was Bear Bachmeier's best passing game. He delivered some throws that were very impressive. And I thought the best part of the throws specifically were, generally I thought his 2 best throws on the night came right after big mistakes or turnovers. There was the interception, West Virginia drives down, BYU gets the ball back, Bear hits 80-yard pass to Chase Roberts. That was the very next pass, and it was a great pass on the RPO. I thought he read it, he dialed it up perfectly, hit Chase in stride, like no stress at all, and actually really good play calling from A-Rod as well to go right back to that right after throwing his first interception of the season. And then he did it again on the deep pass after the turnover on the pitch that got swatted away, which is a great play by the West Virginia defensive player. But I thought his bounce back in both of those was the type of overcoming adversity that we had not seen him have to deal with yet. And he bounced back and really did that. That's what I thought was by far most impressive. Sometimes quarterbacks have to go and win games, and I thought Bear did a pretty good job of that. Yeah. His best of the year.
Oh, certainly. I thought them being more aggressive with him was quite intentional. I never bought into, even though A-Rod said we've given him the whole playbook and he's just munched the whole thing down. I never bought into that. They haven't given him the keys to the car, so to speak, if you have to do a cliche. And they just kept it safe and made sure that he didn't make a mistake that really cost him. But that's probably not going to get it done in conference. To your point, you're probably going to need a little more than that. And opening it up a little bit against West Virginia makes a lot of sense because, as we saw against Utah, West Virginia isn't very good and is kind of just what the doctor ordered for an ailing offense. Not that BYU was ailing by any means. But you knew, and PK was saying something similar this morning, but you knew that the Bear can make a couple of mistakes that all freshmen make, and it's not going to cost you the game. So you can open it up a little bit. You can let him make a couple of mistakes because you're being more aggressive, and then you can still win the football game, which is exactly what happened. I don't know if I buy into the 351 because it seems like anybody can throw it all over the Mountaineers, and they hit those big plays, which are all hugely positive. But I don't expect the Bear to throw 351 on everybody. But, and I imagine we'll get into the mistakes here in a minute, you learn those lessons, and, if you're a BYU fan, you hope the Bear doesn't make them again, which all quarterbacks make mistakes, even when they know better. But it was pretty ideal from that standpoint where you get to kind of, oh, no, I'm not going to use that comparison because war comparisons are clunky, but you get a chance to see what it looks like when you give him a little more room to be aggressive.
Agreed. Obviously, the biggest concern is you may have lost Jack Kelly for an extended period of time. He's a great player. He's one of the 5 or 10 best players in the state.
No, he's an all-conference dude, yeah.
He's a great player. You lose him, and while Isaiah Glasker is A+ as well, having both of those guys is the real strength. You start stacking your strengths, and that was a completely elite group that gets far less elite if Jack Kelly's not out there. That's the big loss. The other part is, I think it's the second straight week where BYU has not played particularly well. They've still won. But my concern is if that's the level they are playing at, they will lose to most teams in the conference, or maybe every team in the conference not named Kansas State, Central Florida, Oklahoma State, Colorado, or West Virginia. Colorado and West Virginia might be the 2 worst teams in the conference. So to face those 2 and have those games and play as average as I thought BYU has looked as a team the last 2 weeks outside of Bear on Friday night, I think they lose to a lot of teams in conference. They need to play better as a whole.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the mistakes they made because I think that's really the only reason it was close.
Okay.
And it's because West Virginia got short fields and they scored at least on one of those turnovers, but BYU's defense wasn't necessarily in advantageous situations. I'm not saying that they were perfect, but there were mistakes, there were penalties, there was stuff like that that. And I want to be careful because excuses and reasons have kind of a relationship. You know what I mean? And so I think mistakes, let me put it this way. I think it's better to make mistakes than have bad play. I'm trying to articulate this correctly. There are certain things like the Bears' mistake. He threw it right to the linebacker. I love, Quinn Snyder was so funny sometimes when he wanted to be. He had a line once where he was like, I tell my guys, don't throw that pass. There's a guy there. I mean, you got to pull the Bear aside and you go, hey, Bear. Hey, the Bear. You don't throw that pass.
Yeah.
There's a guy there. Well, that's a lot easier to fix than other problems, than accuracy problems, for example.
There's
or
a difference.
Arm strength problems or things that aren't so easily fixable. You can fix that mistake. Not saying he's never going to make it again, but a read on a linebacker on a simple play, that's a freshman mistake. So you got to make that mistake and hope you don't make it again. The pitch, that's a freshman.
Yeah.
This is freshman stuff. And then you put your defense in a bad situation and you can almost point like, yeah, that's how you lose games is you make those stupid mistakes, which is what we've been talking about on the show the whole season. So you clean up the penalties and you don't turn the ball over. And I'm not trying to play the what if game, but then you're talking about a 38-10 final. And all of a sudden you've got a little different feeling about how BYU played. So I'm just saying, I think the theme of the game was let the Frosh feel what it's like to not have such a limited playbook and see what happens. Now, maybe you dial it back in for those tough games you're talking about, Ben. He's saying, okay, well, we can't go downfield. We just can't turn it over. Let's try and get it to our guys in space, and we'll keep it safe and play it safe. Or maybe the defense without Jack Kelly all of a sudden becomes civvy. And in those big games, you're like, okay, Fresh, you're going to have to cut it loose because we got no other choice. I mean, we just don't know exactly how it's going to play out. I think the Jack Kelly issue is the biggest negative story from the game. I think you're correct in identifying that as being a lingering issue, but we don't know what the circumstances are going to be like going forward. But you can make those mistakes against West Virginia. You're not going to lose. You can make those mistakes, and it's not going to cost you. It will cost you against Ballore or Cincinnati, or, well, I don't have
every
BYU's,
team the rest of BYU's schedule.
I don't have their schedule, exactly in front of me.
But Arizona this weekend, it will cost you. And then Utah next weekend, it will cost you.
I'm up in the air about Arizona. I don't know how good Arizona is. I think they're better than West Virginia.
They're better than West Virginia,
which is
and
what
now
I think
you're on the
saying.
road.
Yeah, on the road. Oh, by the way, I was hearing to Christian and Alex Annapolis this weekend, and I think it was Alex who said that playing at Arizona is an intimidating place to play. It is not.
No, it's not.
In Tucson, it is not. So going on the road to Tucson is not exactly going on the road to West Virginia, in fact.
Probably. Not that they showed well, but that was a rainy game against Utah. You are correct. There is a difference between a bad team and a good team that makes mistakes. Right now, I think BYU is a good team that is making mistakes, I hope.
Yeah.
They didn't play great against Colorado, and it was a slow start, and then they played much better after the first quarter. They played really well, I thought, to start against West Virginia, and I don't know if they took their foot off the pedal or if they got lackadaisical or West Virginia settled in a little bit and started to play better. Again, I think if they continue to play the way they have the last 2 weeks, you're talking about a 3 or 4 loss team, which would be significant considering they are 5-0 right now. And if you lose 4 games, you go 3-4 the rest of the way, and that feels much different than, 10-2. And I think that's really on the table for BYU if they don't start to clean things up. And they have the ability to clean things up. Again, we're seeing things from Bear Bachmeier that he's never faced. And ideally, they play to the level of their competition. And that means even when they play good teams, they play better.
Well, unless he's Travis Wilson, I don't think he should throw that pass to that linebacker again.
No, don't do that.
Remember when Travis threw, 3 interceptions to the same linebacker in one game against USC?
Yep.
Granted, he was a good linebacker.
Yeah. But those are the type of young player mistakes that you're talking about.
Yep.
And Bear has, for the most part, been immune to those. But we started to see a little bit more of that.
Because they asked a little more out of him.
But where I would argue with you or disagree with you is, yes, West Virginia benefited from the mistakes BYU made, as did BYU, because they were also playing against a true freshman quarterback who made some truly horrendous throws.
Well, nobody's making the claim that West Virginia is any good.
Right. So, I can't just say, well, BYU will clean up their mistakes and that will be the difference. That will make it a 38-10 game or a 45-10 game, because BYU scored 38 points also because West Virginia made a ton of mistakes and turned the ball over where they couldn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, well, they did the same thing against Dampier and Utah.
Exactly right.
And, we saw that game for what it was. It was somebody who was getting the confidence back against a, what do we call it, the get-right game? Mm-hmm. It was a get-right game.
It was.
And in this case, there was not necessarily anything wrong with BYU, but I think this was an experimental game.
Sure. They opened it up a little bit, knowing that the next 4 games, and really the next 6 games, because we can drop Central Florida off. I'm not a huge believer in Central Florida.
No, I'm
we'll
not
see.
either.
But at Arizona, home against Utah, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, home against TCU, at Cincinnati, it's a really, really tough stretch.
That's brutal.
That's got to be as difficult a stretch as there is in the Big 12.
Well, listen, the Utah game against Utah, BYU, is going to be close because it's always close, and that means the Bear is going to have to make a play.
Yes.
That's true fact. And the Bear cannot throw it to the linebacker, right to the linebacker.
Yeah.
So learn that lesson against Rich Rod and see how it goes. All right, what's next?
Number 2, speaking of the BYU-Utah game, it's coming up fast. We've got a kickoff time.
6 p.m., Big Fox. So a nice, high-profile, primetime game for Utah and BYU to show their stuff.
Well, that was the point of moving it early in the season. Mm-hmm. So I hope that pays off. Big Fox, prime time.
Big rivalry game. People want to see it.
That's right where you want to be. So hopefully both teams hold up their end of the bargain, and that's a one-loss team against an undefeated team, and then it really does have conference implications where it did not, of course, last year.
could have a ton of juice. I'm trying to see if there's anything else.
Well, it did. If BYU would have lost, that would have made a difference. So this is what I love about them being back in the league. Sorry, Ben, I didn't mean to step on you.
Trying to think of what other games. There's some good games that weekend. Tennessee, Alabama is that game. That's a top 15 matchup. LSU, Vandy is a good matchup. Just trying to think if USC, Notre Dame could be a good matchup. I mean, it's at least two big names. So we will see if Utah ends up getting a big rival. Utah and BYU gets a big rival on TV. But yeah, 6 p.m., Big Fox. That's what you want for the rivalry game.
Next.
Number 3, Logan Cooley reportedly turned down a big contract extension before the deadline today.
7 years, over $80 million, would have been $9.6 million. That's a significant amount of money in the NHL. That's a lot of money for a long time. 8 years is not super unusual, but $9.6 million is high. But again, the nice thing about the NHL right now is the salary cap is going up. So the reason he turned this down is he's 21 years old, might be second best player on the team, but he's certainly up in that conversation. And he thinks by waiting another year, having the year he's betting on, he will hit what's essentially restricted free agency next year and get more money.
I am genuinely enjoying getting to know hockey a little bit better from this standpoint, negotiations and CBA and all that, and how the game within the game works. So this sounds weird, but I kind of like that we're going to see a contract dispute up front, if for no other reason, to learn that nuance and figure out how it works. Because I honestly, the one way LeBron changed the NBA is that, one, he actually left when he had a max deal on the table when he left Cleveland, which really had not happened before, and started some players like Kevin Durant electing to do that. But he also started signing super short-term contracts for the reason that you're talking about, is because it's all about percentage of the salary cap, and the more often that you become a free agent and the more often that you sign deals, the higher your money can be because the salary cap keeps going up. So maybe the max is, what's the max in the NBA, not the Supermax? 30% is the max?
Yeah.
30? If you keep signing 30% contracts every other year and the cap goes up X percent, your salary is going to go up.
Right.
And nobody was really doing that. Everybody was doing the Andre Karolinko, I'm going to sign in a 6-year deal. And LeBron's like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then all of a sudden the CBA changed after the lockout, where they actually limited the max to 4 years, 5 years with a team option if you are retaining your player. And so LeBron really changed how people viewed their contracts, in that everybody was scared if you got hurt, well, it was going to affect you in free agency. And LeBron proved if you're good enough, no, you're not.
Right.
Because since the max salary is limited, it's not that big of a risk to sign Peyton Manning when he had to have his neck fused back on, because it's actually, you're protected from yourself. If you signed Peyton Manning with the fused neck, if you're the Donks and you're like, no, we're going to give him $200 million a year, then all of a sudden the risk for that is like through the roof. But if I don't want to wish an injury on anybody, but if LeBron at the height of his career had an ACL going into his free agency, he's still getting the max deal because it's not that big of a risk, even if it doesn't work out.
Kevin Durant got one with an Achilles.
Oh, great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, example. So I'm curious, in hockey, what's the advantage of signing the 8-year deal?
Yeah.
Because this, unless, and we're hoping nobody gets hurt, but if he goes out and has a baller year and this really pays off, it could pay off making the short-term gamble. And how do hockey players make that kind of calculation?
I am with you. And there are shorter deals, which is ironic because the short deal in the NHL is like 5 years, not the 8-year deal that Dylan Guenther signed. So what essentially Logan Cooley is doing is betting on himself. He may sign a shorter deal next summer worth over $10 million a year. So a 5-year, $60-ish million, $55 million deal to, yes, hit free agency sooner, and then also get $2 million more a year than he would have gotten this offseason. So that's kind of the advantage he's betting on himself and getting to free agency sooner. We'll see. Yeah, the bet, and we should talk to Cole Bagley about it, is just that maybe these guys are worried that injuries derail your career, so you sign an 8-year contract. You know you're going to be around that long. Probably hits certain pension highs that you get through the rest of your life if you've been in the league long enough, and that's just the direction it moves.
All right, stay tuned. Coming up next, a truly incredible off-the-field moment from college football this weekend.
Okay.
One of those great moments in television.
Not Matt Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez. Sanchez is former Jazz social media
We
guy.
do need to talk about Mark.
Do we?
Yeah, I think he's Bozo of the Week. We have not had a Bozo of the Week in a long time.
Oh,
Not of this caliber.
That's pretty bozo behavior. I gotta agree with you there. So maybe we'll get to it. But that's a bad story.
It's a weird one. It's one of the weirdest stories.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
And not good.
But we'll get to your college story next.
Yeah. Stay tuned. More Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go!
Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars head to Tucson for a battle against the Arizona Wildcats. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This segment is brought to you by our friends at Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255, Peach Doors and Windows. Ben, over the weekend on Saturday, and I did get to watch part of this game, but I did not watch the part we're going to play, admittedly. I heard about it later. But your Clemson Tigers were just steamrolling the Tar Heels of North Carolina.
It's their first good performance of the season. And not a good performance, because beating North Carolina doesn't mean anything.
Well, we were talking about get-right games earlier,
But they got jumped by Syracuse, so yeah.
You have a get-right game against the adult novelty heiress. And, really the Bill Belichick era at North Carolina has been anything short of spectacular. Even Urban Meyer is clowning Bill Belichick on the podcast. Well, the buildup, though, Ben, the buildup of the Belichick era began with a blistering loss to the TCU Horned Frogs, 48-14, at home in front of Lawrence Taylor.
And Michael Jordan.
Yeah, if this were a basketball game, that might be more relevant. Those players for North Carolina don't want to be humiliated in front of LT. I mean, are you kidding? So anyway, during the Clemson North Carolina game, they went to a man on the street student kind of interview during the broadcast, which is strange. But usually when it happens, Ben, you get some student who's just like, "Go Heels!
Yeah.
We love North Carolina!
Yeah.
Go Tar Heels!" That's not what this was.
Not what they found.
So this is a inner 20s female student talking about. Anyway, let's just play the clip.
Clemson making moves.
TCU I went to that game, and that was one of the saddest feelings I've had in university so far, and I've failed midterms before, so that's saying something.
That was the student.
First of all, it sounds like she's in the studio.
It's not, no.
It's great quality. And she has an amazing voice. She has a radio or broadcast quality voice. So it sounds like it was just some broadcaster. But no, it's some small student.
On the quad.
Yeah.
I've failed midterms before, so you're saying that. That was the saddest moment I've had at this university. Play it one more time. This is amazing. And again, this is not an announcer. This is just some regular student.
TCU I went to that game, and that was one of the saddest feelings I've had in university so far, and I've failed midterms before, so that's saying something.
It's Anna Yee, who...
is that her name?
It's her name.
Hilarious.
First of all, get her a job in broadcasting. What a great voice.
Obviously funny.
Very funny, yeah.
And I've failed midterms before, so that's really saying something. And by the way, did you see the army of people marching out of the stadium in North Carolina at halftime? This whole experiment with old Bill is not going well.
Who had a worse weekend? There's 3 candidates. Bill, not going to bring up Mark Sanchez again. James Franklin, or Deshaun Foster. So James Franklin, head coach at Penn State, goes on the road and loses. I don't want to say soundly.
Okay, wait.
It ended up being a fourth quarter drive. They didn't convert.
Can I quickly answer this, and then can we save the
or
UCLA,
the adult novelty heiress? I should say.
I'll answer the question, and then can we save the UCLA Penn State talk for
Sure.
Can we hold it over for the next segment? Because I think there is there is some stuff to dig in there. So my answer to you is James Franklin.
Okay.
Because Bill was humiliated on national television, but I think he likes humiliation. I think he's into it. So I don't think he's having a bad day.
Sadomasochist, yeah.
Because I think he likes it.
Uh-huh.
Because he was bored of the life where everything's going his way, and he had a boring marriage, and they had lots of money and lived in the Nantucket social scene and all that. Like that didn't do it for him. Like being humiliated publicly is really
up his alley.
I think he's actually enjoying it. So
okay.
I'm not going to say Bill. And I'm not going to say Deshaun Foster because I feel like when you're separated from your job, dude, that guy took a lot of money from the Bruins.
He did get a lot of money.
He doesn't even know the score of the game, dude. He's in Fiji right now.
Yeah, he's in Barbados.
On a beach, and he's got no clue. He's got no idea that the game even happened. So I'm going to go with James Franklin for those reasons.
Okay.
But let's talk about that game coming up next. We'll stick with the local college football as well, but there is something to talk about. I think there is a message to be taken from that game.
Okay.
All right, stay tuned. Jake and Ben, more next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes are back at home for a showdown against Arizona State. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. Ben, you mentioned one of the more compelling games of the weekend that came to us from the Big Ten. And we saw the UCLA Bruins and what that team was made of week one against the Utes, and it was not a real compelling game. Now, they have made a coaching switch, and the guy they have put as an interim, I think, is really good. He was the interim coach at Fresno when Jeff Tedford stepped down. Like he's actually not bad. And then you put Neuheisel's kid in an offensive coordinator, and all of a sudden you upset the 7th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions, who I honestly believe just lost the Oregon game twice.
I think you're exactly right.
And because I don't know what this says about UCLA other than what I'll get to here in a second. James Franklin, though, has made a long career of being slightly above average, and I wonder when that's going to
catch up to him
at a place like Penn State, where he's like, listen, you have a lot of built-in advantages at Penn State. You should be able to play winning football there and maybe get over the hump once in a while. That's really what Joe Paterno did throughout his career, and he won a ton of games there, but he got over the hump once in a while, but he was good for a long time till arguably a little bit there at the end. Mm-hmm. But that's what James Franklin's been. He's been a good team in the Big Ten who doesn't beat the great teams in the Big Ten.
Yep.
But he also doesn't lose these types of games all that much. But this one might really damage him because people were grumpy about the not beat Oregon because he can't beat the good teams. But if you want to look at it a little sympathetically for Penn State, I think they lost the Oregon game twice. And UCLA decided to let Nico, who is a good player, win the game for him.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a recipe for that. But I do think it's a warning sign to all college football programs. UCLA and what happened. Here's why.
Okay.
You cannot let your program be so pathetic that minor, insignificant things are the greatest thing to ever happen to your program. Like your program should never be so bad that you're carrying Rick Neuheisel's 17-year-old kid off the field. I mean, he was cleaning the John yesterday, and now he's your offensive coordinator. Uh-huh. That doesn't mean that things are going well.
Sure. UCLA is not fixed.
And did you see that all 15 people at the Rose Bowl stormed the field? Uh-huh. That was the biggest clown joke I've ever seen in my life. Like 10 people. It's one thing where UVA, they almost trampled somebody to death, and there's like 30,000 people on the field, and you're like, whoa, I mean, boy, those guys were passionate. There's like 10 people on the field. Everybody's still walking around like it was just some other postgame.
More players on the field than fans.
And all the fans from the stands. Like, never let your program get so pathetic that these things happen. That you're storming the field after an unexpected conference win. Mm-hmm. And that you have so few fans
that you can't
that
tell.
Actually storming the field looks really stupid.
Yeah.
And then you're carrying off the 10-year-old offensive coordinator because he actually has enough of a brain to give the football to the one player that's actually good on your team. That's where UCLA is. That's where the mighty Bruins are.
Yes, it's your guy, 0-0, going into overtime against Wake Forest. Cheering. Yeah. Is it Beamer? Who was it?
Frank Beamer.
Yeah, Frank Beamer cheering going into OT, tied 0-0. Yeah, it's carrying Rick Neuheisel's kid after. And look, it was a great win.
Off the field like he were Johnny Unitas.
In all honesty, that's the type of win that those players will remember for the rest of their life. And understandably so. We were the worst team in college football. We beat a top 10 team, or at least a team that was ranked top 10. They're going to be 20, 25. They might be out of the rankings after this. They're out of the rankings.
Yeah, they should be.
And rightfully so. But, and while you say, well, that's a great memory to make, the memory should be, hey, we were a very reasonable team because we're UCLA and we play in this huge stadium and we're in the Big Ten and et cetera, et cetera. We've got all these opportunities. So it's a little bit of a give and take there.
It is kind of the beauty of the sport that the bar does move, and you can still have those elated feelings even when your team is crappy. But I remember Utah State won a game when Riley Nelson was a freshman, and I'm trying to remember who they beat. And they carried Riley out on their shoulders. And it was because it was like their one win of this season. They won like one game, and they're carrying the quarterback out on their shoulders. It's like, never let your program get so down that you kind of look silly for celebrating really minor things, you know? Coach Witt gets that bowl eligible, you know, that sort of thing. And it's like, that's where the program was at the time. Is that was a big deal to get back to being bowl eligible. But it's just a lesson to never let your program get truly, truly down, I think.
I'll be curious where Penn State goes from here. I'm with you. James Franklin makes $10 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the highest paid.
No.
He's got to be one of the four or five highest paid
They
coaches
could
in all of
find
college
another
football.
James Franklin at Penn State. You can find somebody competent enough to run a good program. But if they're going to contend for national titles, I don't think he's the guy. I don't know who is, but I don't think it's him.
They will play Northwestern and Iowa. And then, of course, the Big Ten toughens up. You got to play Ohio State. It's very good. You got to play Indiana, who's been really good this season. So it's going to end up being a 4 or 5 loss team. And at that point, the people who are paying you $10 million a year start to wonder, why are we paying you $10 million a year? Or worse, giving you X million to go and pay players.
I think that's
you can't
the big
win
one.
with them. That's probably the issue.
That's the issue. Yeah. Is now the boosters have more power than ever. And boosters aren't patient historically.
Yeah. Right. It's their money. They want quick returns.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, if I was just flushing money down the toilet for a football program, I'd want returns too.
Yeah.
Meaning wins, because I guess you're not giving that money for your health. Certainly not for investment purposes.
Yeah.
Even back in the old days, you get your name on the building or something if you donated that to the university.
Right.
Now it just goes up in smoke.
Yeah, you give it to a player and he may play, he may not play.
Maybe good, maybe not.
Yep.
Strange world we're living in, Ben.
Big 12 overall, I thought, had a strange weekend. Had one of the more interesting weekends I thought we had seen. And we had talked about how this was not maybe the most exciting weekend of the season, just because I didn't think the matchups were particularly good. But some outcomes that I thought were legitimately surprising, including the one that I made fun of last week and was proven totally wrong about, which was Cincinnati absolutely crushing Iowa State.
Yeah, the way they did it was eye-opening. Iowa State had the injuries, blah, blah, blah. You know, maybe we should not be surprised that Cincinnati won the game. But the way they won the game was very un-Iowa State-like.
It was.
You know, I'm trying to bring up the team stats, but it's not. I looked at them earlier, and it's, let's see how many rushing yards. 264 rushing yards for Cincinnati. And I would not have predicted that Iowa State got run over. It's not usually how they lose.
No, 24-21 is how they lose games.
Yeah,
they don't lose 38-30.
And you have injured corners. That would be one thing if you got carved up, but that's not what happened. They got out-physicaled. They got run over.
It's also interesting to see, not to jump away from that game because I think that's the most pertinent game over the weekend, but Colorado jumped out to another hot start against, I know it was 0-0 after one, but they were up 14-0 against TCU as well, just like they were against BYU, and then TCU rallied back.
See, Colorado's not hapless. I don't think they're one of the better teams in the conference, but they're not hapless. Like Oklahoma State is hapless.
Get nowhere to go. Yeah, can't improve. Doesn't have the tools. I do think there's some interesting tools at Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado's not. They're not good. They're just not dead in the water. Like West Virginia appears to be dead in the water. Oklahoma State appears to be dead in the water. I don't throw Colorado into that category.
I think I'm with you. I think that's a dangerous team. They will probably surprise somebody with a good win before the end of the year.
Houston still doesn't have an offense.
Right.
But Texas Tech, hey, I'll give it to the old Red Raiders. Their defense is something.
They have emerged as the best team in the Big 12.
Oh, they're not getting my number one vote.
You're going with Iowa State again?
No, I'm going with Cincinnati.
Okay.
Got the best win in the league, Ben. You were telling me that Texas Tech had the best win in the league forever. Well, no longer.
Nebraska to start the year. Was that Cincinnati's lone loss, I think, early in the season?
Welcome to number one.
Okay. Hey, that's a good win. Cincinnati's playing well. Cincinnati obviously is going to be a team that you're going to have to take seriously as well. And, you give up that many points, you give up 30 points, you're susceptible to losing. But if you can score 38, you're going to have an opportunity to win a lot of games. So.
Noah Fafita threw it all over Oklahoma State. I'm sure you're not giving them any credit.
Well, no. I mean, Oklahoma State's, like you said, hapless.
You know what I've decided Oklahoma State really is an example of, and Mike Gundy too, if you want to go down this road a little bit. We don't have to dwell on it too much, but you and I both have relished, and this is more college basketball than college football, but relished a little bit these old-timer, cheaty coaches who can't cheat anymore, and then all of a sudden are being exposed as, like, maybe not geniuses. Mm-hmm. What's his name? Coach Cal instantly comes to mind, where it's like, you had more resources and were able to cheat for years. Now everybody can cheat, and you don't appear to be such a genius. And I do think that there are other examples of that. We've talked about it, right? Oklahoma State cheated forever. And that's the thing, that was the T. Boone Pickens relationship.
Right.
Mike Gundy was T. Boone Pickens' guy. Mm-hmm. That's the reason he's been the head coach for 20 years. Is because he was T. Boone's dude. Mm-hmm. T. Boone, the old man croaked at the absolute wrong time because his death coincided with the change in college football.
It did.
And I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I got to imagine that all that dough is still being donated to the university. But now, instead of being in control of T. Boone himself, the old man who's like, hey, Mike, take this $100,000 and go get us a quarterback, instead of that being the name of the game. Some trust is controlling it, I'm sure, and it's now going to the science department or whatever. And when Mike Gundy is complaining about only having $7 million, you and I both thought, God, how could that be? Oklahoma State has always been flush with dough. What are you talking about?
Great facilities, whatever they need.
All the stuff. And you know what? They probably don't have a guy anymore.
Now it's Slim Pickens.
Now it's Slim Pickens at Oklahoma State. And Mike Gundy wasn't able to adjust. And now all of a sudden when he doesn't have the benefactor and doesn't have the rules to cut, now it's being exposed that, well, maybe the run there at Oklahoma State wasn't quite so much your genius.
Right. You had built-in advantages that people couldn't see. Or that people could see but couldn't prove.
If it weren't for Uncle Phil at Oregon, they would still be a bottom of the Pac-12 university,
Yep.
And Uncle Phil is still with us. And now the rules have changed, and Uncle Phil is playing that even more to his advantage. Mm-hmm. I wonder if the old man were still alive at Oklahoma State, if this situation would be different. Right. And Mike would have a $20 million budget and not a $7 million budget. They haven't found another benefactor. But maybe Mike Gundy wasn't the genius everybody thought he was.
I think that's totally fair. And I also think, the game moves and the game changes. It's interesting with Witt and Utah. And, one of my big thoughts today, because Utah's starting to get ready for Arizona State, which is a good football team, and has a very young head coach. I honestly kind of thought, I wonder if Witt still has it.
Well,
and I don't mean that I'm not putting Witt in the Gundy space. So clearly Gundy didn't have it anymore. I think Witt still resonates. I think Witt can still coach. The question is Witt still at the level of the guy who was getting his teams to the Rose Bowl?
Well, the reason Witt was successful was different than Mike Gundy.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to vouch for anybody running a clean program, but I don't necessarily think Witt was going around town
right.
Buying players when that was not legal to do so. I think Witt was successful for other reasons. My question with Witt is, now that Utah does not have a resource advantage in its region, does that...
It actually has a resource disadvantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that success continue? Mm-hmm. Because Utah in the Pac-12 era was able to hold that over BYU and Utah State for that matter. Big time.
Yeah.
And they had way more financial resources than did BYU because they were getting the Pac-12 TV money and could actually use that in the program, whereas BYU has a lot of outside money and could not use that. Mm-hmm. And now that not only is BYU in a league, but the same league as Utah, and now the built-in...
And has way better donors.
And the built-in landscape, which he's been so successful in, has changed. Does that continue? And I would bet on it more to continue than, say, somebody like Mike Gundy, because resources weren't really the reason Witt was entirely successful. Maybe that competitive advantage had something to do with it, but there were other reasons that he was really successful that can be continued.
I agree. And we've got a lot of talent in state.
Right. He's got to be scrambling for dough and probably should be doing more fundraising than coaching, and I don't know if he really wants to do that, but because it does matter. But instead of being flush, they're just in the same spot as everybody else.
Yeah.
And so how do you play that? In fact, way behind resource-wise than the Big Ten and the SEC. So how do you compete on a national scale now when you're operating with a fraction of the resources?
No, it's got to be
both in the program and without.
Yeah, it's got to be really difficult to look around the Big Ten, the SEC, and then the top 5 schools in every conference. I don't mean every. I don't mean the Mountain West Conference, but the top 5 schools in the ACC have more money than Utah does.
You would think so. It depends on those schools, but yeah.
But should at least the top 3. Clemson certainly does. Florida State certainly does. Miami certainly does. Those all have way better financial tools to go and get players and pay their players and coaches.
I don't know if Clemson does, honestly. I get the point you're trying to make, and I'm not trying to disagree with it, but I don't know if I would put Clemson in that category, honestly.
But regardless, the ACC, even if you want to say it's comparable or less than the Big 12, Utah is still, if you were to draft the financial tools at their disposal, if you were to combine those two conferences, Utah's firmly middle of the pack.
Right.
And then, yes, every school in the Big Ten and every school in the SEC, they're well behind just because of the distribution that they have. So it's a really tough spot to be in. Utah's in a tough spot, and that doesn't mean you can't continue to win. You just, you have to. Utah already had to, find some diamonds in the rough and execute, and it was made easier because BYU was at a deficiency financially, and now they're not. It's going to continue to be more and more difficult for the Utes.
No, so depending on what the law is.
Yeah, and so I'll be curious what these next couple of weeks look like.
Seeing all these lobbying ads all over college football about certain laws they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. Make NIL what? They're trying to circumvent the rules that the NCAA is trying to do?
Yeah.
What a great time. That amateurism thing really sucked. This is so much better.
College sports used to be worse.
Did it?
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm pretty out on the whole product right now.
But which way are you going to vote, Ben? I do love those commercials. They are great. Yeah. Well done. Super creative. Really, really land it.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. We'll get to more coming up next. It is the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. It's a battle on the islands as Utah State squares off against Hawaii. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Let's lock in.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben. Want to remind you, nominate the sports volunteer for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination, kslsports.com/contests. Then listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Ben, Coach Witt is doing his presser, or was. Mm-hmm. This coming out of it, Whittingham said none of the injuries against West Virginia were season-ending, and that includes Nate Ritchie, obviously.
It's a good sign.
Yeah,
his knee looked like it went backwards.
Yeah,
so.
And he was playing really well. So you hope that's a thing because we talked about it a little bit. Injuries has derailed decent Utah football teams in the past, and you certainly don't want to ever see that happen. And we had that conversation about BYU and Jack Kelly earlier in the show, and that's relevant. You don't want to see teams come up short because of injuries. Think of when Taysom Hill got injured back in the day. A couple of different times, but the one time when they were like 6-0 and they didn't play anybody for the rest of their schedule, and he got hurt against Utah State, and then they went on a 4-game losing streak. I think it's just those are the toughest seasons to watch, and not that that's happened at Utah, but you don't want to see it.
The dynamic is interesting, especially with Jack Kelly, because he's not worth 3 points a game. That would be absurd. That's an extraordinarily valuable player, but the defense as a whole is worth X amount of points. They prevent you from scoring so much, and that linebacking core specifically is really dynamic at BYU. So if, let's say he is worth 3 points, or that group together is worth 3 points a game, if that's gone at least for a weekend or 2 weekends or whatever, then it has to be made up somewhere else. And, is that Bear Bachmeier who has to go out there and make it up? And I thought against West Virginia, he did. I thought Bear accounted for a lot of points. The throw to Parker Kingston was amazing.
Man, that dude can fly.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I know he's taking some heat, but
what's he taking heat for?
I think some of his special teams decisions, but he's a good player. He's a valuable player.
Man, he's got to be the fastest player on the team by a mile. No offense to the rest of the team, he can just really fly.
He's fast. Chase Roberts really quick too. But as that dynamic changes and you ask Bear to do more, that's where the season gets interesting, and that's where I think this really opens up. And I hate to be 5 weeks into a season and pretend we don't know anything. We know stuff. We've learned a lot about BYU. But as the now quality of opponent increases, I think somewhat significantly over what's been a weirdly soft start to the season, I'm really curious to see what BYU looks like now going the rest of the way, especially because they're facing more adversity today than they were, at this point a week ago or even, Friday at 6 o'clock.
Here's the conclusion I'll draw on the Bear. He's not completely in over his head. He's shown that he's not completely in over his head. I think that's
Clearly.
fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because we've seen players come in that are completely in over their head. And even some of those players even won games, but still seemed like they won those games.
Isaac Wilson beat Oklahoma State.
Right.
He's completely over his head last year.
And I'm thinking of also the quarterback before him, who's back on the team now. Why am I going blank? Nate Johnson, where he wrong-footed Baylor, was it?
Uh-huh.
He's shown that he's not in over his head. They've won games, and he's made plays, and he has not been intimidated by the situation. I thought you made a pretty astute point, and Coach Sitake talked about this too, and some other players, that he was pretty even after the mistakes.
Yeah.
And he hasn't made a whole lot of mistakes yet, so we haven't really seen that, speaking of things that you can learn. And he wasn't devastated by it all and didn't come apart at the seams, which I think is a pretty good sign. So I think that I'm pretty safe in saying, now listen, the narrative can be wildly up and down. Just look at people are now out on Super Bowl champion Jalen Hurts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
it only takes one game.
People jump on and jump off all the time. But if we're trying to digest it about what we have truly learned about a freshman quarterback who has now started 5 games, he's not in over his head. He made mistakes against West Virginia, but he didn't panic. He didn't do some of those things that we've seen other players do where it goes from bad to worse. That was not him in that particular game, and I think that's a pretty good sign. And he wasn't in over his head in the previous games where he could have been there too.
You could have lost to Colorado if he was in over his head.
Right.
That was a 3-point game that he didn't have a costly turnover in the fourth quarter and allowed his defense to win.
Yep.
Against West Virginia, he didn't allow his defense to win the game for him. I thought he went out and made some throws and allowed BYU to beat West Virginia, who maybe played a little bit better than I expected, and I thought BYU as a whole played a little less competently than I had expected. I thought BYU would look more dominant in that game than they did.
Well, they need to dial up the discipline a little bit, which is,
It's also been an issue all season. They've had a lot of penalties this year.
Well, line up on sides. Little basic stuff that like that is kind of inexcusable. I remember we used to talk to Kyle Gunther about this, and sometimes like a after the whistle kind of hit, not like a dirty late hit, but you're going at it and the whistle blows and you still throw him to the ground and you get the 15-yard penalty. Sometimes those plays actually are a good thing, where it means you're being aggressive and you're going right up to the whistle and you pushed it a little far this time and you cost your team and you're probably really bummed about it, but it's not like one of those red flag type penalties. Lining up offsides is a completely inexcusable. There's no defending a flag like that. So
like that?
Show a little more discipline, maybe clean it up. But we'll see. The Bear cannot make those mistakes at crucial times against better teams. And he's going to have opportunities to make plays or make mistakes. And you hope he gets some of the mistakes out of the system. I don't think he'll throw an interception that bad. Again, I would guess. Not right to a linebacker like that.
Yeah, you'd hope not.
Like that?
You'd hope not.
Who just jumps it. He should be smarter than that. That is truly a freshman mistake. That you haven't seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
So see how it goes.
But teams also start to learn more about you. What have you learned about BYU playing against Portland State? Probably nothing. What did you learn against Stanford? Probably not a whole lot. What did you learn against East Carolina? Maybe a little bit more. Then you really started to see where BYU's susceptible, maybe against the run, especially mobile quarterbacks against Colorado. And then I thought, now, not that West Virginia had any other choice, but the true freshman moved the ball pretty well with his legs.
Yeah.
They were able to move the sticks pretty consistently. That's not really Fafita's game. He's quick. He can move around. He's not going to run the ball like that.
Like that?
But against Utah, that's where all of a sudden you're going to game plan now where Utah says, hey, that's got to be a huge part of our attack. We have to roll out Devin Dampier and let him make plays with his legs because BYU has been susceptible to it, and now you can start setting up other parts of your offense.
Who do we know more about, Utah or BYU?
Utah.
You mean that from a negative perspective?
No, I don't think it's a negative necessarily.
Because the only team they've played, they've lost to, and didn't look particularly good doing it.
Yeah, we know what Utah might be susceptible against.
So we know more about what their shortcomings are than how good they are.
I think that's true. And I don't feel like we know that about BYU as much. And maybe it's just because BYU is good. Maybe they're better than Utah. I think that's certainly on the table.
I don't know if we've seen the offensive. Well, we saw the offensive shortcomings a little bit. We saw the mistakes against West Virginia. But
certainly BYU has not had a measuring stick that I think is as accurate as Texas Tech is.
Well, I think we're going to see Dampier having trouble being accurate downfield the whole season.
Probably so.
You can't have a game like he did against Texas Tech where the other team just gives up on defending the pass. But I don't think he's going to be. If he were a true downfield threat, they would have done it against Texas Tech. That's my point. That was my point.
On the table.
That was the game to win. They were selling out to stop the run in all the crucial minutes or, the crucial parts of the game, and they couldn't do anything about it. I would guess that that's going to continue even though it was better against West Virginia. But again, I'm not really taking the 351 from the Bear against West Virginia. The mistakes were more the story than the success, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've said this, his season's going to be about what mistakes he makes and when.
So much of this job and watching sports in general is just kind of pattern recognition, right? And with Utah, the pattern is can't move the ball downfield with big chunk plays through the air, for the most part. I think Devin Dampier can make some nice throws. He has not been able to get big chunks through the air. That's pretty clear. BYU does have that. And, one of the patterns that we're starting to see from BYU, they even talked about it on the broadcast, but the first play of every game so far has been Bear Bachmeier taking a deep shot. They just keep doing it. And Utah doesn't do it because it seems like there might not be faith that he can actually complete that pass. And Bear can. And actually has the players that can go out there and make those catches. Whether that's Parker Kingston, who's shown he's got the ability to do it. Chase Roberts clearly has the ability to do it. I don't know if A, Dampier can make the throw accurately, and B, if it's Merriweather or whoever's down there, that they're going to catch it even if it's thrown right to him. So that's another issue for Utah. And we've seen that consistently. You can look at the first half against Wyoming, BYU, or Utah could not move the ball at all. And it really struggled. And then couldn't move the ball at all against Texas Tech. So there are issues there consistently with Utah's offense that point to some flaws. And I don't know if we have seen those with BYU, and that's where the question comes in. Is that because the flaws don't exist or because the teams they have played against are not good enough to expose them? And my guess is the latter. I don't think BYU is a flawless team.
No, I don't either. I don't think, no, I don't think they're flawless. We'll see. It gets harder.
Yeah. So you play Arizona, you play Utah, you play Iowa State, all these teams that they've got coming up, and it gets far more difficult. You get Texas Tech in there. The things you can't do will be exposed, more so than what Stanford or West Virginia has been able to show.
Ben and Christian have a nominee for Bozo of the Week that it's dark. But we'll get to it coming up right around the corner. And we have some call-ins. Oh, all right. Look forward to that. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars head to Tucson for a battle against the Arizona Wildcats. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got him made Jake's alone, so loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my.
I can tell you who's not having a good day today. Lloyd. After that pathetic display of football that his Raiders put on yesterday.
You guys are kicking the show off with Taylor Swift and an analysis of her lyrics? Come on, man. You better be sharing some of that NFL money with us if you're going to be doing that. Love you guys, despite this.
Thank you to Larry and Ryan. That was a football tie. Travis Kelce plays tonight. We were just saying he's probably getting clowned in the locker room. That's all. He's having a bad day.
Yeah. There were football ties to Travis Kelce.
And yeah, I hope Lloyd is having a bad day. 40-6.
That was tough.
Against Ben's Daniel Joneses.
Uh-huh. Hey, Indy's for real. Indiana Jones has it. Guy's cooking.
Geno Smith not.
Geno Smith got paid and has retired. Good for him.
Have we seen Salazar today?
He walked in. I didn't say anything, though. It might be a little early.
Well, we hope he's having a bad day.
I'll give him hell later, though.
Yeah, you definitely should. All right, who wants to do the nominating here? Who wants to set this up? Because we have a nominee for Bozo of the Week.
The obvious thing is it's Mark Sanchez. And it's just one of the craziest, and it's a horrible story. There's nothing funny about the act itself, right? Mark Sanchez, over the weekend, was it Saturday morning? You started to see all these details emerge that, like, Mark Sanchez is in critical condition because he got stabbed in Indiana. And my thought was, what was it? Was it a playoff game? Wasn't there a Pacers fan that attacked somebody?
Oh, yeah. Another fan. It was like a Knicks fan.
It was a Knicks fan. That's right.
Yeah, and stabbed him.
And I was like, what is this epidemic of violence in Indiana, specifically with the sports
surrounding
fans?
Sports.
I was like, geez, that place has become unsafe. I've traveled
I had money on that
there.
Jets game.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I thought, like, that's so weird. And then the details started to emerge more and more, and people were like, no, Mark Sanchez is going to get arrested for this.
Yeah, they said he may have been the aggressor. That's how the reports evolved. And then the next report was he's been arrested in the hospital.
Because I'm sure I'm not the only person who thought, oh, some drunk fan saw Matt Sanchez, and not to Mark Sanchez, I keep saying that, not to let anyone off the hook for drinking at all. And not Mark either. But thinking, oh, yeah, somebody recognized Mark Sanchez, wanted to fight the biggest guy or the most famous guy in the bar, and then took it way too far and stabbed him. And no.
Not at all.
69-year-old driver who seems to replace oil for kitchens in a hotel.
He's picking up the grease.
Is picking up the grease. And you have to do that after hours because restaurants are open during the day.
You ever seen that Simpsons where what's his name, Willie? The groundskeeper Willie or whatever is hoarding grease for his retirement because they're selling it. It's like, that's my retirement grease. Anyway,
so
69-year-old man in a truck picking up grease.
Mark picks a fight with him for where he parked, tries to get into the cab of this truck, follows the man. The man apparently goes and is looking for security. And we will see. More details will come out. We will get, the surveillance camera. But obviously the cops have seen this already, which is why they're arresting Mark. But Mark follows him, attacks him somehow, and after the guy pepper sprays him, he then attack or defends himself against Mark Sanchez by stabbing him at least once and sounds like several times. It's just...
But somehow this guy got stabbed in the face,
This guy got his face slashed really badly. And the pictures are bad. It's quite gory. So it's just the weirdest story. And for it to be Mark Sanchez, maybe the quarterback who, A, we would least think this would happen to, and B, to one-up the butt fumble is like what he will be known for, is really one of the all-time twists in sports. Because he should be butt fumble guy. The same way Kaelin Clay should be I fumbled at the 1 yard line guy. That's the worst thing that ever happened to me, was that infamous fumble. One of the most fumbles of all time. And now Mark Sanchez, I'm going to stop saying that. Mark Sanchez is going to be known for something completely different. He's going to be I went to jail guy.
Well, yeah, he shouldn't be caring about what he's known for right now because this is felonious assault.
Yeah, he's getting charged with a felony.
Yeah, right. He's facing prison time. So I bet right now he wishes he was butt fumble guy.
Yeah, right. I wish I could go back to being butt fumble guy.
This takes away, why I don't know if I think this should be Bozo of the Week. Because Bozo of the Week is
usually something silly.
Clownish behavior. This is not clownish behavior. This is a violent man who decided to get violent with some guy who's just trying to do his job, which is just awful and goes way beyond Bozo behavior.
You're not wrong, and I totally buy that argument, and that has been a disqualifier for us in previous events already. So we will hope a bigger Bozo emerges.
This is like terror behavior.
Yeah, this is a man terrorizing somebody at their job.
Yeah. And it's really sad because...
It's just crazy it's Mark Sanchez.
I think he's got a young family. Mark does.
He's younger than both of us.
He had a great job calling NFL football on Fox.
Millions of dollars.
Well, I don't know. Depends on how he managed that money because he didn't make a zillion bucks in the NFL.
Well, he made millions of dollars.
Yeah. So he was a guy with a lot to lose. And, not to go back to that Nick Saban thing, but, if you've got a lot to lose... You better let it impact your decision making, because maybe you just let the grease guy park his truck, and you go back to your room.
I'm curious to hear what started this. And again, it
doesn't matter.
I'm not
curious. It does not matter. There is not a justifiable. There is not anything.
There's more to this story than Mark Sanchez snapped.
There might not be, honestly.
If that's the story, that's a crazy story. That 38-year-old Mark Sanchez flipped his lid and decided to start attacking random people doing their jobs in Indianapolis.
Ben, 2 people got stabbed in an incident over a parked truck.
Yeah.
It does not matter. There is no justification. It is crazy behavior. What you're saying is true, regardless of if Mark says, well, he gave me the bird or something.
Sure.
You're right. It doesn't make any sort of difference. Have you seen the video of Mark stumbling away? He's actually in surprising good shape, considering he just took a knife wound to the chest.
Oh, I haven't seen this video of him. Oh, he is. He's bleeding.
Profusely.
Yeah, and he is just walking around. My morbid curiosity, I want to know more about this story.
Okay, so that's fair.
I think that's probably what it is.
I like good tabloids too, but
it's not to justify it. Or to let Mark off the hook, or to say, that's more understandable. I don't think that's the point.
If that, that makes sense. There's nothing that could come out where you'd be like, oh, okay, I would have stabbed that guy too. There's nothing.
Correct. I'm with you. Mark Sanchez, a former professional athlete who's 38 years old, to the point where he has peers, probably from the same draft class, that are still playing. He's still in great shape. Should never have there's no reason ever he would need to attack a 69-year-old man.
And he took mace to the face
and kept moving
and kept going
like the Terminator.
I'm curious to hear if booze is his only substance that's involved in this thing.
That's a very cogent question.
Because, Ben, you've been overserved before. It has happened. And I bet if somebody maced you in that circumstance, you would have gone down like a sack of bricks. I would too. I'm not
that's
judging.
What mace is for.
Yeah.
It takes bears out.
Right.
Yeah. But not Mark Sanchez.
Honestly, never been maced.
Same. No, I've never seen it. I've never. No.
Yeah.
I'm not big of a troublemaker.
No.
Okay.
Same draft class as Matthew Stafford, by the way.
Okay, yeah. So he's not washed, older player. He's washed, but physically, there's no fear for Mark Sanchez in these situations.
You know, you wish sometimes that you were a fly on the wall. I would love to have been a fly on the wall of Mark's boss at Fox when he or she got the call at whatever in the morning that is like, hey, just so you know, you're going to have to replace one of your announcers because Mark stabbed a guy. Took two blows to the chest.
You're starting to advocate for this being Bozo of the Week.
No.
Yeah, you are.
No.
You're selling it.
But I bet you that exec never thought he was going to get that phone call.
Correct. That was not where anyone... That's why this is such a crazy story.
It's like
nobody expected the story to be Brady Quinn got another big break. Career backup Brady Quinn gets another starting job because the quarterback in front of him did something absolutely insane.
Imagine the Mouse waking up one day and they're like, hey, Mickey, Joe Buck stabbed a guy.
Yeah.
That's not a call you expect to get.
Troy Aikman attacks man.
But I do believe that goes beyond bozo behavior.
You're right.
Mr. Mouse, Joe Buck stabbed a 69-year-old man at an Indianapolis bar.
Thank goodness nobody got killed.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. This could have ended so much worse. So.
All right. Way to go, Mark.
Yeah.
He's having a bad day.
Really bad day. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Gets a rain tomorrow.
Hans Olsen and
First
Scotty
appearance
G.
in courts. We'll see how it goes. I'm not excited, but I'm curious to follow this story again.
Okay, we'll see what the follow-up is. Stay tuned. Hans and Scotty G are coming up next.
Thanks, Christian.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.